Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 2 of a best of 5 between Nilla and Underthesea in the grand final of the Season 6 playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League. Today they are playing on Shchedrin, and on our left in the red team playing on the Axis side we have Nilla using the first Blindata and the Maverick deployment type. And on our right in the blue team, also playing on the Axis side, we have Underthesea using the 28th Jager and the Maverick deployment type. So both players going to be choosing to use Maverick deployment type once again. No one trying to outlast the other with potentially like a balanced deployment type, which can lead to a very nice phase C advantage. But the last game was thick and fast. Very good game. Nilla managing to take the first one with some decisive moves in the mid game, which gave him an overwhelming advantage, which it snowballed completely out of control for Underthesea as Nilla applied pressure in multiple sides of the map. This time around we'll have to see if Underthesea can keep it under control. He's opted for the 28th Jager, which is another strong infantry division. It does, however, this time come with some decent armour in the form of the Stug 3s, if he would like to use them. And there's other decent support weapons and artillery and so on that you can bring in with the 28th. On the side of Nilla, he's opting to go for the first Blindata this time around, which does have some very strong medium armour infantry play. The strong Romanian infantry backed up by the Panzer IVs and other APCs and sort of light vehicles and stuff is very nice. But let's have a quick look at what's going down as the game gets underway. So there's going to be these AB Horches on the top side here with the MG34 Shchedrin, with the Venatori Moto, two of those with the Pioneer Assault, another Venatori Moto there, two of them with the Panzer Grenadiers coming up behind, and a Steyr 42. BF 110 coming out of the start, 2-star veterancy, looking for some strafing runs most likely. Towards the centre, two Venatori Moto with a Pioneer Assault, two AB Horches and a Panzer Gren there. Moving into the town on the bottom side, going to be Venatori Moto, Pioneer Assault, and yeah, just way more Venatori Moto there with the AB Horch. On the side of Underthesea, he's going for an off-map start, but the BF 110 is out on the field. It looks like this might go down. That would be absolutely devastating for Underthesea. He's going to have to really hope that this off-map can pay off and he can get a good position in the town, because that is a completely free kill there. Jager Pioneer Führer moving in here with two Jagers and the 45 mils on the roads. It's going to be Panzerjäger, Sturmjäger, Jager Fusiliers moving into the town. The Jager Scharfschütze covering the open ground. For the mid, for Underthesea, he's got MG42 with a 45 mil and a Pak 38. Jagers up on this hill and further back, maybe unloaded it early there by accident, 45 mil, and then on this top side hill it's going to be the Jager Pioneer and Jager moving up onto this hill with the Panzerjäger there. Off map does come down. It doesn't look like that's actually killed anything. You can see Nilla's just left the transports further back. He probably fast moved them back out of the town to wait for the off map to land so that he can then move that back in afterwards and solidify ground without actually losing any troops. So really nice play there from Nilla, just avoiding the off map entirely. Now that's the trouble with the phase A off map starts like that, is they can become quite predictable. If you do it once in a while you might catch out your opponent, but Nilla, a very experienced player, knows exactly how to deal with it. Jager Fusiliers going to come under fire from the AB Horch here. Oh, nice kill there from the 45mm. Does take out the transport on the road. That's exactly why you put the 45mm on the road like this. But the BF 110 coming in for the strafing run. It does have two 20mm and the 4 machine guns in the nose, so definitely can put down a lot of damage on the ground. Let's check out this topside engagement. Jager Pioneer going up against Venatori Moto. Venatori Moto do have two close-range automatic rifles that they can use within the 100-meter range, but a HE was thrown out there, going to take out that squad. Nice and easy. Panzer Grens might be able to do some decent damage at range if they manage to get the shots on target. But Pioneer Assault here, a very scary squad for Underthesea to have to deal with. This is an 8-man SMG squad with 2 flamethrowers, so the Jager Pioneer do need to watch out for those. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, 45, will it take out the AB Horch? It will. Venatori Motor engaging Jaegers down here. Another Pioneer Assault actually hiding up here as well. Sturmjäger's not in cover. Venatori Motor might actually be able to trade relatively well here. The Sturmjägers are pretty good because they do have the 7 MP44s, but even they can't really trade that well from, you know, no cover to heavy cover. They are going to get killed off by Venatori Motor. And considering this is a 20-point squad and this is a 30-point squad, you don't really want those kind of engagements to happen. But the BF-110 coming in and actually deleting that squad entirely. These BF-110s, I did not expect to see these coming out. But it is beautiful to see. Nilla really finding a nice unit there to strafe his way to victory once again. IAR coming in on the top side does drop a 272 kilogram bomb. Looks like he's managed to force back some of the infantry that was hiding in the top side forest there. And that's putting a lot of pressure on Underthesea on the top side as well. So not only is Nilla kind of keeping up the pressure down here, but he's also managed to secure this hill. Underthesea is going to reply with his own airplay, coming in with the Focke-Wulf 190. This has the 8 50 kilogram bombs, but changes his target at the last moment, which is going to mean that the bombs don't drop. The Famo 37mm has come in. The Focke-Wulf's looking for the kill on the BF-110, but Nilla's actually microing that away from the Focke-Wulf, so manages to keep it alive, and the 37's probably going to stop the Focke-Wulf from finishing that off. Focke-Wulf coming in for the bombing strike now. Looking for the Venatori Motor, going to go straight over the 37. Does need to be a bit careful, but the 37 changed target, so should be absolutely fine. On the bottom, we're going to see Underthesea build up quite a lot of infantry here. He's still relatively healthy compared to Nilla. Nilla does have this light armor support though, and if he can get rid of these AT guns, those AB Horches could be a real problem for the infantry of Underthesea. So we'll have to see if we can make that happen. But meanwhile, Panzer Grenadiers now engaging out of the heavy cover against infantry with no cover with the 2 MG42s. Going to do a lot of damage indeed. This Panzergren actually ran out of MG ammo completely, so looks like that worked out quite nicely. Stör 42 going to be hitting the MG42 in the center. That was caught out in the open with its pants down and will probably die unless the Stör 42 misses its shot, which it does. So there you go. Another IAR coming in on the bottom side. Looks like it forced back the Sturmjäger. Jägerfusilier now engaging. Jägerfusiliers are an interesting unit, but they are better suited to close range engagements with the 6 MP40s. Shchedrin going to go down to the Jager Scharfschütze. Looks like Nilla was trying to be sneaky there with his recon, getting into a position to spot these reinforcing roads, but once again, Nilla's got off to a very good start in this game, avoiding that initial off-map, which was such an investment from Underthesea. Really allowed him to get a leg up across the map because he had way more units on the ground, right? He didn't invest those points into off-map himself, so he was able to get the aircraft and more infantry on the ground, which seems to have done him some favors so far. Sturmjäger and Jager moving up here. Jager's very nice in this close range engagement. They do have 7 MP40. That's 7 submachine guns, putting out the 2.8 damage there. Very good at close range. Unfortunately, at longer ranges, they do get completely outmatched by units like this Venatori Motor. As soon as they're not engaging at 100 meters, these Jaegers can suffer quite a bit. So you've got to be very careful with that. Looks like the MG did finally go down here. Stör 42 might also take out this 45mm AT gun. Doesn't get a direct hit, but definitely takes a chunk out of it. MG 34, or will it kill the Jaeger Pioneer in the transport? Not quite. I think Underthesea is actually quite lucky to get that unloaded. 60mm mortar on the top side is now going to be trying to pin down the Jaegers and Sturmjägers so that he can maybe move an infantry squad back up there in order to surrender them, or at least force them off the hill. 2 60mm mortars on the bottom side now as well. Looks like this is Nilla's plan to get past the superior infantry that Underthesea is going to be putting up against him. These Venatori Motor, for example, they're going to want to push forwards, but they can't really go into Jaeger like this. It's not really going to work out too well. So getting the 60mm mortars down means that these Jaegers are going to be slightly pinned, and then with the double machine gun firing away, it's going to pin them very quickly, and that's going to find the surrenders. In this case, the Jaeger's obviously not going to surrender because of the Jaeger Pioneer being so close, but he is going to be able to slowly chew these squads down, and also with these 60mm mortars aiming so fast, he's going to be continuously engaging with them. Bomb coming out on the top side is going to pin down the Sturmjäger and Jaeger there. IAR goes in for the engagement with the Focke-Wulf 190, and that's a double 37mm on this top side. Now this Famo truck with the 37 on the back, looking to get some damage done there, but the Focke-Wulf is going to get on the back of the IAR. Now Underthesea just needs to make sure he micros that away ASAP, or it might go down as well. I'm not sure that would be worth it. Looks like he's just about going to get away with it. Focke-Wulf survives. So the Jaegers were taken care of, but the Vunatore Moto were forced back. 60mm mortars going to be looking to help with the engagement here. Not really targeting anything specific though. Completely whiffed on that strike. If these 60mm mortars were engaging like the 45 here, and any engagement where he can actually see what he's fighting, that would be very, very useful. But look at this in the middle. He's managing to get a serious amount of forces onto the other side of the hill, like his opposite hill, which is a big deal in Shchedrin. In Shchedrin, controlling either of these two hills in the center, like the opposite hill to the one that you start with, is very, very big. It gives you a lot of points, a lot of presence, and in this case, if he can keep it up, it's going to give him like a lot of flags, because you can get AT guns up here, cover the reinforcing roads, and that becomes such a big problem. Ju-87 was actually used to cluster the infantry. Pioneer Assault looking to get rid of those. Now we've got the Panzerguns here in the open, going to be ripping up those Sturmjäger. There was also an Opel Blitz truck there that went down. I'm not sure if that was Underthesea kind of letting that die unnecessarily, but once again we find ourselves in a position where Nilla is 16-8. We've just moved into phase B, like only just, and Nilla seems to have a quite decent advantage here. The IAR, is that going to be able to bomb and get on the back of the Focke-Wulf? It might be able to. It'd be lovely if it could, but no, the Focke-Wulf's too far away. If he'd kind of cancelled the bombing strike and gone for the Focke-Wulf first, I feel like that would have been the better play to make. Because you can always come back round for another bombing strike, especially if you know your enemy's not got any AA, which he hasn't seen any yet. Panzerguns, though, going down on this bottom side, Nilla is starting to get beaten back. The Jaegers with their MGs are starting to cut down some of this infantry, and Nilla's been forced to flood in 6 more units of Vunatore Moto to slow down Underthesea's counter-push. 60mm mortars still firing away. Again, I'm not a fan of this blind firing from the 60mm mortars. I really don't find that's too effective. Because the 60mm mortars don't have much dispersion, making sure you're actually hitting the mark with them is pretty important. And so anytime you're engaged with other infantry, you can use them to aim very quickly and get some decent hits in. Otherwise, they're not really going to do much damage, and they don't do much damage anyway. So blind firing them is kind of pointless unless you actually have a unit that's going to engage and can take advantage of the suppression, which the 60mm are so good at giving. The MG34s, though, in the center here, are managing to control the open ground nicely. Jaeger's struggling to pin down this MG34. In fact, they're Underthesea moving back. It looks like the Focke-Wulf coming in there for the kill onto the MG34. I was questioning that for a second, but it looks like he had an idea of how to get rid of the MG34. I thought the Jaeger, since it managed to get the MG back on target, might have pinned down the MG34 itself. But killing it off entirely, that works too. So here's a good idea. Like, he can actually see the Sturmjäger. Getting the 60mm like directly on target is great. Going to force Underthesea in this case to fall back, and he might cede this flag in favour of Nilla. But yeah, Underthesea has managed to bring it back so far. He's got a bunch of units onto this hill, which is super important. The Pioneer Assault are still going to be really, really awkward to deal with, even with Jaeger Pioneers backing you up. Or Ju-87 there, coming in with the cluster strike. Oh, good job there by Underthesea, reversing away from that Ju-87. IAR Look at that, comes in with the bombing strike and gets the strafing run onto the 45. Nice micro from Nilla. K87 now backing on the top side. P80 assault, they're going to get probably just completely overwhelmed here. 3 squads, 2 being Sturmjäger. Those MP44s are going to hurt. The P80 assault now doing a runner into the open when they'll have no cover, and the MP44s will cut them down very, very quickly indeed. On the top side, BF110 again coming in for decent strafing runs. But things are still not looking perfect for Underthesea at all. He has lost just over half his tickets, or just under half his tickets, sorry. And things do keep going 15-9. So Underthesea really needs to like try and get the initiative in this game, and he has been trying very hard to do so, of course. But I feel like Nilla's just had his finger on the trigger the whole time, continuing the aggression across the map, just like the first game. It's just becoming a little bit too much. Positions like this, where you see the bomber coming in, you want to obviously spread your units out as much as you can to avoid maximum damage, just like with the Arados previously, where Underthesea was trying to like dodge the Arado. You want to do the same thing with these bombers. Obviously, it's a lot harder with like a fighter bomber, of course, but making sure your units are spread so they don't get collateraled is pretty important as well. But I feel like Underthesea is just like a little bit overwhelmed with micro. But it looks like a free Focke-Wulf double kill here onto these mortars. Nice play, gets the Focke-Wulf to come in. Oh, doesn't quite get the second one there. Oh, second Focke-Wulf is going to finish the job. Okay, that's nice. So both these Focke-Wulfs now looking for the BF110. And this is why you don't normally see a BF110, because the Focke-Wulfs will be able to get on the back of them quite easily and take them down, or any other fighter for that matter. But the Sturmjägers, it looks like they walked a little bit too far towards the sun here and get caught out on the outside of the tree line. The Panzer IV with the Venatore Moto gonna chunk those units, and getting your Sturmjäger that low is not ideal. And all of this infantry, look at it coming in. We're now like deep into the phase B Maverick with the 170 points per minute, and just Nilla just constantly bringing in more and more troops, whilst it kind of seems like sometimes like Underthesea is maybe floating some of his phase B. These Venatore Moto, though, he's got to get them unloaded, surely. Is he really just driving for this flag? I'm trying to work out what he's doing with these transports. It was an interesting play like before, where Nilla like lost a load of transports by YOLOing them like that. I think in a game of this level, you can't really afford to do that, because you can get punished pretty hard if you're just wasting like 20-point units of infantry. But oh, nice kill there by the Focke-Wulf. Just quickly strafes down the Ju-87. The 25s here don't stay on target with the Focke-Wulf F8, so it's fine. Although, will they manage to stop this Focke-Wulf from killing the IAR? Yes, they will. Nilla's going to pull that back, and then probably just look for a bombing strike in just a second. Black 43 going to help clean up another unit of Venatore Moto, and yeah, all of that infantry that you saw flooding in, if it just unloaded on the ridge here, it would have been able to prevent any more infantry from actually moving up this road or up the hill, which would then, you know, stop the pressure onto this top flag. Thankfully, Nilla already has quite a lot of units here, but it's still a questionable play to be throwing away transports like that. On the bottom side, Nilla's really started to amass quite a lot of forces now. The Panzer IV is going to take out the Stug 3, so that's a lovely engagement there for Nilla. Also the surrender onto that infantry unit. Things are certainly falling apart on this bottom side. Underthesea has now noticed and is bringing in a bunch of units to reinforce this. But he's just struggling to deal with all of these different 20mm autocannon vehicles. The first Blindata gets both the SBW 259s and also the SBW 222s, and both of those 20mm vehicles are very, very cost efficient, because if they kill an infantry squad, they basically go even. So, and they can do so very quickly. But in a like close range engagement like this, the 20mm are very, very deadly, and it seems like Nilla's using them great in support of his infantry to get through the town here. Focke-Wulf being forced to bomb One of them actually hits the Venatori Moto there, goes for the strafe onto the Ju-87. Not going to get the kill this time around. There's now 3 Hotchkisses on the backside of this town. That fuck-off might actually die because of that. Ju-87, looking for the cluster strike. If there's one thing that Nilla, Underthesea has been doing well, it's dodging those cluster strikes with his Stugs. He does need to try and find some decent value out of his Stugs, because so far I haven't really seen them do too well. Takams up on this ridge are going to come under fire from the Stugs. Takams do, I believe, have a decent amount of damage on the HE, yeah. So they can kill support weapons like these Flak 43s and AT guns pretty quick, but they are also weak themselves. That Stug there going to hit that Takam. Going to get the second shot off before the Takam can even aim there. 2-star Stugs are so nice. 45. Currently out of range of the engagement with the T4, but this is a beautiful use of the 60mm mortars now. This is exactly what you want to see. When your infantry is engaging infantry, you know it's there, drop the 60mm mortars on them, and then just charge them down. And you force them either to fall back and lose ground, or they surrender. And in this case, Underthesea's infantry is going to surrender, because he probably didn't see that happen. Jager potentially under fire now. Looks like Nilla just expected there to be more infantry up here. 16-8. 5 minutes left on the clock for Underthesea. And it is looking like a tough way out right now. The Schwimmwagen here coming in with a 210mm off map. We'll have to see if this can really turn the tide in the town. It's going to be very, very important that it does. However, the placement of this off-map might just be a little bit off. If Nilla's able to continue the push forwards, he might just end up dodging this off-map completely. The T4 might die right in the center there, but most of these Venatori Moto are pretty much on the edge. So as long as they keep advancing forwards, a good way to just avoid any off-map being effective onto your forces. Like if you know you're being off-mapped, and you see the vehicle coming in, then often just walking forwards is the best way to counter it, because they don't expect you to do that. Bomber there came in, got shot down immediately by the Flak 43. Focke-Wulf 190 is coming in with the strafing run onto the mortar there, I think, but the FAMO 37's going to be forcing that back. Oh, that Focke-Wulf's hanging around over the AA, that's not good. Those 37's are most likely going to shoot that down. You'd be lucky to get away with it. I kind of want to keep an eye on this bottom side engagement though. Oh, what was that? It looked like a mortar round or something hit the transport as it came in. The Sturmjäger going to move through, gets a lot of lovely surrenders here onto Nilla's units. That is beautiful. That off-map really worked out well. It does look like the off-map vehicle went down though in the process on this bottom side. Only one off-map strike used from both of his off-map vehicles. That is not what Underthesea wants, but he has managed to temporarily get to the 10 to 14. But the Sturmjäger now pinned down, and these two Pionieri being problems for the Jaeger Pioneer, causing these two flags to really sting at the moment. Every second now that there is a double tick is really bad for Underthesea, because he's going to need time to stabilize and then push back. And he has managed to do a good job of kind of like trading in certain areas, especially where Nilla's been giving him some free kills. So let's see if he can capitalize on that. Maybe start to get himself an advantage by using these Stugs, particularly on the top side, to kill off some of this armored vehicles. And then he can use the Stugs to overwhelm the infantry with his own infantry support. You get loads and loads of Jaegers in these 28th Jaeger squads, so he's going to be able to keep piling those in. Of course, Maverick decks in general, though, aren't that deep, but some of the better players do put like a card in Phase C, so that they do have a little bit longevity in mirror match engagements like this. Stug here, not in the best position on this crossroad right now. Could potentially get overrun by the 20mm if he's not too careful, but 60mm They're now firing away again. This mortar fire is really making things difficult for Underthesea. The thing is with these 20 mils is I think you get like 8 on a card or something ridiculous. And wow, 3 Hotchkisses and an SDK of Z7-1. That's a lot of 20 mil to the face. Not going to be enough to kill the Focke-Wulf though. Jager Pioneers still doing okay here. Looks like the double surrender on the Pionieri here was really nice with the Stug, but the Stug died, probably to the VulcanHDGaming. So now it's up to the Jaegers and the Jager Pioneers to get through here, but it's going to be very tough against the Panzer IV because none of these units actually have a way of dealing with that. The Jaegers can probably use Panzerfaust, but it's a long shot. If Nilla's not paying attention, it might work. Sturmjäger's now pushing forwards. Underthesea here trying to capitalise on the amount of suppression he's doing with his machine guns. Whilst Nilla's trying to use the 60mm mortars to suppress Underthesea's units. But more infantry has managed to get up onto this ridge. And the fact that Nilla's been contesting this tree line area for the majority of the game has made it very difficult for Underthesea to cancel out the advantage in flags that Nilla has had for the majority of the game. The 20mm here going to do a lot of damage to these Jaegers. Stug not quite being able to get into position in time. Seems like there's 50 seconds left on the clock. Focke-Wulf 190s coming in hot for these mortars, but they're surely not going to be able to get past all this AA. The SDK of Z7-1 did go down, so that was taken care of, the flak filling, but 3 Hotchkiss is still going to be enough. On the top side, there's just no contest here, especially on this top hill now. And with the infantry kind of sweeping through on this side, it's really, really not good for Underthesea. And fortunately in this one, it looks like it's game over. Good job by Nilla. Really, really effective aggression once again. Even if at some points he is throwing away units needlessly, he does still get the job done with his constant pushing across the entire map. He keeps Underthesea on his toes, and I also feel like Nilla's making better use of his points. He's always bringing in the units preemptively, and then Underthesea's being forced to bring in units reactively, and it also seems like at some points Underthesea's maybe saving some income, and then it's kind of biting him when he really needs it. But getting some good trades early on, like the kill with the BF-110 onto the off map. I'm not sure if Underthesea saw the BF-110 at the start, but throwing the off map into that seems like a bad idea, unless for some reason Underthesea thinks that having just one of the strikes land would have been enough to solidify an engagement in the town. But in theory, you know that the Jaegers are going to be better than the first Blindata's infantry in the VulcanHDGaming. Sturmjägers are so strong. You give them a leader and they can go 3-star vet with 7 MP44s. Mid-range engagements in towns, they're going to be absolutely amazing if you micro them correctly. And you saw in the late game there that the machine guns and the MP44s were pinning squads very, very fast, and it was allowing Underthesea to move forwards and surrender. But he wanted to rely on the off-map there, and it didn't work out. Nilla completely dodged it with that nice pullback of his transports, allowed the off-map to come down, then moved in after the off-map just about finished, and was able to take up the ground that he probably would have had at the start anyway. Nice kills there from the Panzergrand, and also the VulcanHDGaming actually managed to trade relatively well in some positions, probably with the help of mortars or other support units and bombers and stuff like that. In terms of kills for Underthesea, his Focke-Wulfs did well. The Block walls that were coming in with the smaller payloads, the 50-kilogram bombs, were managing to get some decent kills in there. The Sturmjägers in some cases were managing to get the 2-for-1 or 3-for-1, which is exactly what you want to see out of them. Panzerjägers were trying to deal with the abundance of 20mm autocannon vehicles, but Nilla was certainly getting a lot of those out. So yeah, I feel like there was definitely a better chance in this game than the first for Underthesea to get the better of Nilla, but unfortunately the aggression from Nilla it's just been so overwhelming for Underthesea so far in this best of 5 series. Underthesea even ended up with more kills at the end, but just the initial aggression and the great use of the phase B income by Nilla seems to always put him in such a good position to finish the game. And yeah, towards the end, Underthesea it did look like he was bringing it back slightly, getting some good trades in, but it just was too far gone by that point. Unfortunately, he'd lost way too many tickets. So fantastic job by Nilla. Congratulations to him. Takes the second game of this best of 5. And now we're going to be moving on to the third game, which if Nilla wins, he becomes the champion of the Season 6 of the Steel Division 2 League. So exciting stuff. Can Underthesea hold back the tide of Nilla? Because it certainly seems strong. Find out in the next video. But that's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.